I retreated with the rest, for 48 hours. I endured the rain during the day, and the cold during the night tolerably well, but the third morning my horse died of cold. Poor brute, accustomed to be covered up and to have a stove in the stable, the Arabian finds himself unable to bear 10 degrees of cold in Arabia. That's why you want to purchase my English horse, said Debray. You think he will bear the cold better. You are mistaken, for I have made a vow never to return to Africa. You were very much frightened, then? Asked Peacham. Well, yes, and I had good reason to be so, replied Chateau Renaud. I was retreating on foot, for my horse was dead. 6 Arabs came up, full gallop, to cut off my head. I shot 2 with my double-barreled gun, and 2 more with my pistols, but I was then disarmed, and 2 were still left. One seized me by the hair, that is why I now wear it so short, for no one knows what may happen. The other swung a yataghan, and I already felt the cold steel on my neck, when this gentleman whom you see here charged them, shot the one who held me by the hair, and cleft the skull of the other with his sabre. He had assigned himself the task of saving a man's life that day. Chance caused that man to be myself. When I am rich I will order a statue of Chance from Clagman or Marraketti. Yes, said Morel, smiling, it was the 5th of September, the anniversary of the day on which my father was miraculously preserved. Therefore, as far as it lies in my power, I endeavor to celebrate it by some heroic action, interrupted Chateau Renaud. I was chosen. But that is not all. After rescuing me from the sword, he rescued me from the cold, not by sharing his cloak with me, like Saint Martin, but by giving me the whole, then from hunger by sharing with me, guess what? A Strasbourg pie? Asked Peacham. No, his horse, of which we each of us ate a slice with a hearty appetite. It was very hard. The horse? Said Mercier, laughing. No, the sacrifice, returned Chateau Renaud. Asked Debray if he would sacrifice his English steed for a stranger. Not for a stranger, said Debray, but for a friend I might, perhaps. I divined that you would become mine, Count, replied Morel. Besides, as I had the honor to tell you, heroism or not, sacrifice or not, that day I owed an offering to bad fortune in recompense for the favors good fortune had on other days granted to us. The history to which M. Morel alludes, continued Chateau Renaud, is an admirable one, which he will tell you some day when you are better acquainted with him. Today let us fill our stomachs, and not our memories. What time do you breakfast, Albert? At 10:30. Precisely? Asked Debray, taking out his watch. Oh, you will give me 5 minutes grace, replied Mercer, for I also expect a preserver. Of whom? Of myself, cried Mercer. Parbleu, do you think I cannot be saved as well as any one else, and that there are only Arabs who cut off heads? Our breakfast is a philanthropic one, and we shall have at table, at least, I hope so, 2 benefactors of humanity. What shall we do? Said Debray, we have only 1 Montheian prize. Well, it will be given to someone who has done nothing to deserve it, said Boche. That is the way the Academy mostly escapes from the dilemma. And where does he come from? Asked Debray. You have already answered the question once, but so vaguely that I ventured to put it a second time. Really, said Albert, I do not know. When I invited him 3 months ago, he was then at Rome, but since that time who knows where he may have gone. And you think him capable of being exact? Demanded Debray. I think him capable of everything. Well, with the 5 minutes grace, we have only 10 left. I will profit by them to tell you something about my guest. I beg pardon, interrupted Boche. Are there any materials for an article in what you are going to tell us? Yes, and for a most curious one. Go on, then, for I see I shall not get to the chamber this morning, and I must make up for it. I was at Rome during the last carnival. We know that, said Beecham. Yes, but what you do not know is that I was carried off by bandits. There are no bandits, cried Debray. Yes there are, and most hideous, or rather most admirable ones, for I found them ugly enough to frighten me. Come, My dear Albert, said Debray, confess that your cook is behindhand, that the oysters have not arrived from Ostend or Marennes, and that, like Madame de Montenau, you are going to replace the dish by a story. Say so at once, we are sufficiently well bred to excuse you, and to listen to your history, fabulous as it promises to be. And I say to you, fabulous as it may seem, I tell it as a true one from beginning to end. The brigands had carried me off, and conducted me to a gloomy spot, called the Catacombs of Saint Sebastian. I know it, said Chateau Renaud, I narrowly escaped catching a fever there. And I did more than that, replied Mercier, for I caught one. I was informed that I was prisoner until I paid the sum of 4,000 Roman crowns, about 24,000 francs. Unfortunately, I had not above 1,500. I was at the end of my journey and of my credit. I wrote to Franz, and were he here he would confirm every word. I wrote then to Franz that if he did not come with the 4,000 crowns before 6, at 10 minutes past I should have gone to join the blessed saints and glorious martyrs in whose company I had the honor of being, and Signor Luigi Vampa, such was the name of the chief of these bandits, would have scrupulously kept his word. But Franz did come with the 4,000 crowns, said Chateau Renaud. A man whose name is Franz d'Epinay or Albert de Mercier has not much difficulty in procuring them. No, he arrived accompanied simply by the guest I am going to present to you. Ah, this gentleman is a Hercules killing Cacus, a Perseus freeing Andromeda. No, he is a man about my own size. Armed to the teeth? He had not even a knitting needle. But he paid your ransom? He said 2 words to the chief and I was free. And they apologized to him for having carried you off? Said Beauchamp,